The Opel Commodore B, produced from 1972 to 1977, was a mid-size car that combined performance with luxury. Serving as the successor of the Commodore A, it shared its body design with the Opel Rekord D, but distinguished itself with more upscale features and powerful 6-cylinder engines, just like the Commodore A was. The Commodore B was available in a sedan and coupe body style. The two-door sedan was no longer offered. Its exterior featured clean, straight lines with a prominent front grille and rectangular headlights, embodying the design trends of the early 1970s. The coupe variant, whatsoever, offered a sportier profile with a sleek roofline mostly covered in vinyl. Inside, the Commodore B provided a comfortable and spacious cabin. High-quality materials adorned the interior, and the seats were designed for enhanced comfort during long drives. The dashboard was straightforward, featuring easily accessible controls and clear instrumentation. The interior looked very modern, yet very sporty, and during the last few years a new, more modern-looking steering wheel became available. The Commodore B was equipped exclusively with 6-cylinder engines, offering a range of power outputs to cater to different performance preferences. Although the supply was less big than with the Commodore A, the supply was still quite sufficient. There were no more 4-cylinders, as the smallest engine was a 2.5 liter inline-6 available during the whole time period of 1972 to 1977. Its power output was modest and basically was the same engine as in the Commodore A, as it had a power output of 115 horsepower and 176 Nm of torque, giving the car a very good top speed of 180 km an hour and a modest 0 to 100 time of 12.3 seconds. Fuel efficiency wise, the car wasn't that terrible with this engine, as the fuel efficiency had an average of 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. You also had the 2.5 liter GS variant, which was basically a more powerful engine, and this was only available between 1972 and 1973, making it a very rare engine. It had 15 horsepower more, rated at 130 horsepower, and 10 Nm more, rated at 186 Nm of torque, giving the car a slightly higher top speed of 184 km an hour and a slightly lower 0 to 100 time of this time 12 seconds instead of the 12.3 seconds. Fuel efficiency wise, it was less fuel efficient, rated at 10.6 liters per 100 kilometers, and Opel most likely just discontinued this engine because the differences it shared with the normal engine were minimal, in my opinion. You also had the normal 2.8 liter inline-6, which was available a year after the introduction between 1973 and 1977. This had the same power output of 130 horsepower, just like the 2.5 GS, although having 20 Nm of more torque at 206 Nm of torque. It also had the same top speed at 184 km an hour, but did 0 to 100 a bit quicker at 11.5 seconds, all while it had the same fuel efficiency as the 2.5 liter with 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. For those seeking more performance, you also had the 2.8 liter GS, which was available between 1972 and 1975, which had 140 horsepower and 260 Nm of torque, giving the car a higher top speed this time of 190 km an hour and a 0 to 100 time of only 10.4 seconds. Because this was actually a higher output engine, also the fuel efficiency was a bit higher, rated at 11.3 liters per 100 kilometers, and this was mostly because the car had multiple carburetors this time. For those seeking even more performance, you had a fuel-injected engine, just like in the Commodore A, which was the 2.8 liter inline-6 GSE, which was available during its whole lifespan of 1972 to 1977. It had 160 horsepower, although after March 1975 it had 155 horsepower due to emission regulations. It had 229 Nm of torque and reached a top speed of 200 km an hour, which was very good for the time. It also had a 0 to 100 time under 10 seconds at 9.3 seconds, and fuel efficiency wise it was way better than the 2.8 liter with carbureted engines, because this was only 10.7 liters per 100 kilometers. The other engines also had a slight decrease in power after 1975, just like the 2.8 GSE, although with these engines it most likely was just 1 or even 2 horsepower, for example, so that's minimal. Besides the normal Commodore, you had the GSE variant, which we talked about just now, made by Opel, which featured electronic fuel injection, enhancing both performance and fuel efficiency, which you can see in the fuel efficiency the car had with that engine. This model was particularly popular among enthusiasts for its dynamic driving experience. But you also had the Steinmetz Jumbo Commodore. In the early 1970s, Steinmetz transformed the Opel Commodore B into the high-performance Jumbo, introduced in 1973. It featured large aerodynamic wings and a heavily modified engine. Under the hood, Steinmetz installed a 6-liter V8 sourced from the Opel Diplomat B. This engine was extensively modified, including the addition of 4 Weber twin carburetors and other enhancements, resulting in an impressive output of approximately 510 horsepower at 7100 rotations per minute. The Jumbo could accelerate from 0 to 100 in just 4.3 seconds. Despite its power, the Jumbo had limited motorsport success, but remains a legendary vehicle among enthusiasts. And beside the Opel Commodore in Europe, the Commodore was also available in other markets, such as in Iran and South Africa. Between 1974 and 1976, the Opel Commodore B was manufactured in Iran under the name Chevrolet Iran and Chevrolet Royale, produced by Iran General Motors Company. These vehicles were available with both 2.5-liter and 2.8-liter engines. And in 1974, due to new regulations regarding pollutant emissions, the 2.5-liter base model were discontinued. And, just like in Europe, the 2.8-liter engines were detuned to outputs 127, 138 and 155 horsepower. These cars were exported to various countries from Iran, expanding the reach of the Commodore beyond the European market. And just as said before, the Commodore was also available in South Africa, as the Commodore also was produced and sold under the Chevrolet, yet again, brand, between 1974 and 1978, simply called the Chevrolet 2500, 3800 and 4100, indicating the engine sizes. The South African market had a preference for larger, non-luxurious 6-cylinder vehicles, and the Commodore fit this niche well. You had the 2.5-liter with 115 horsepower, just like in Europe, but also a bigger 3.8-liter with 121 horsepower, and an even bigger 4.1-liter with 132 horsepower and an incredible 284 Nm of torque. Although these engines were bigger, they didn't have that much power in comparison with European engines, and these engines also weren't that fast, as the 3.8-liter had a top speed of 174 km an hour and a 0 to 100 time, which was actually quite decent of 10.7 seconds, and the 4.1-liter had a top speed of 181 km an hour and a 0 to 100 time of 10.2 seconds. During the Commodore B's production run between January 1972 and July 1977, 140,827 vehicles were produced, including 42,279 coupés. Its blend of performance, comfort and style made it a compelling choice in the European automotive market of the 1970s. Although it was a very good success of Opel, the Commodore B faced competition from several competitors, including the BMW 5 Series or the E12. Offering a balance of performance and luxury, the E12 appealed for drivers seeking a sportier experience, and the Mercedes-Benz W114 or 115, renowned for the build quality and comfort. These models attracted buyers looking for durable and prestige. While the Commodore B and Rekord D shared the same body design, they catered to different segments, just like with the Commodore A and Rekord C. The Rekord D was available with 4-cylinder engines, making it more accessible and economical. In contrast, the Commodore B offered 6-cylinder engines and a higher level of interior refinement, appealing to customers seeking enhanced performance and luxury. Despite these differences, both models contributed significantly to Opel's presence in the mid-sized car market during the 1970s. The Commodore B succeeded the Opel Commodore A, which was in production from 1967 to 1971. And following the Commodore B, Opel introduced the Commodore C in 1978, continuing the lineage of updated designs and technologies. Thanks for watching this video. To be able to upload more videos in the future, please consider becoming a member on my channel or sending a super thanks on this video. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe for more. Don't forget to check out this playlist with many interesting videos covering various parts of the automotive industry, and I will see you in the next video.